developers can create whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to purchase it and like it and agree with it. And now we see this major piece coming out from VGC News where it says, developers, please give me the option to remove swear words from your games. And this person sounds like a whiny brat. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I always think it's so interesting that video game journalists will say, oh, you need to be nice to developers if they decide to put progressive themes into their games because they deserve creative freedom. And I completely agree. They can make it, doesn't mean I have to like it or support it. But when it comes time for a game to feature something they don't like sexuality, like in this case, swearing, they say developers need to do better. If you want swears removed from your game, okay, I need the option to remove wokeness from my games. How about that? Oh my gosh, you're against diversity. That's the screams that we'd hear. But now this article from VGC has released by Chris Scullion, who says, in the era of excellent accessibility options, parents should be able to play certain games in front of their children without reaching for the volume. Yes, it always comes down to we need to protect the children. And of course, I think any normal person wants children to be protected. But to go into an argument and saying, oh, even though a kid isn't playing this, or a kid shouldn't be playing this, or a kid shouldn't be around this, let's not say adults need to just do better and, I don't know, wear headphones or, yes, simply press a mute button. Now they're saying developers need to give people more options. Chris here, the author of this article, has decided to make a post, which I think is so funny. He said, been wanting to write this one for a while. I'm sure it will be met with an entirely rational response, especially on here. If you instantly have to add the context of people are going to attack it, maybe you need to take a step back and realize why that is going to happen. Okay, this is exactly what you say when you know you're about to drop the worst take possible. So it says, last year I reviewed South of Midnight for VGC, a sweet baby game, and while I found its combat repetitive, I thought it was a beautiful adventure featuring a setting, characters, and subject matter that aren't frequently explored in this medium. What's so funny about this is that he is saying that he really loved South of Midnight for the most part, which is a game, may I add, that features a skip boss fight button. You can just press a button and it will end the boss fight. So of course he's arguing for more changes in video games, having options that make an experience that much quicker to get through. He says, though, for context, my daughter was about to turn 7 when South of Midnight was released, and yes, the game's age rating suggested that it wasn't suitable for her, but the aim wasn't to have her play it. I just wanted to make sure it was safe for me to play in the background while she was in the room, and having played an hour or so of the game for a preview, I had a pretty good feel for what it was offering. Everyone knows what their own children can handle, and my kid is usually fine with fantasy combat, especially given the enemy designs, and I'm not a fool. I'm certain there are parents out there who wish there were censor options so that they could just simply not hear that audio so they could play a game around a child, but they are not writing entire articles using what little authority they have in this industry to demand developers do better. This is a major problem. This journalist is trying to enact change because he personally feels like he could use this, because he feels like he would like it to be offered. As I always say, there are things like the ESRB for a reason, okay? And it is your job as a parent to monitor what your child is consuming. If you don't like your kid around swears, it's as simple as not playing that game where there are swears around them, not letting them watch, I don't know, Grand Theft Autos because you don't want them exposed to that type of content. Do I see every parent on the internet writing an article about this? No, because I think most parents are smart enough to understand what their child can handle. and what they feel comfortable with their child experiencing. But again, it's not even his child playing this game. He's just saying, oh my gosh, there might be a moment where they hear a swear, and that's why he wants this industry completely changed, and he wants games to feature all these different settings. And there is a small section in here where he talks about how people are going to overreact to this as if it completely diminishes any criticism we could levy against him. He says, before we go on, here's the paragraph that you're free to quote on social media when people inevitably moan at the headline of this article without actually reading it. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that these games should have their swearing removed or that the content of the game should be compromised in any way for the people who want to play them unedited. And that is exactly what you're saying, though. You can add this disclaimer in here, but we can clearly see the narrative you're trying to push. We can clearly see the activism you are trying to push and the changes you are trying to get developers to make. The entirety of this article, except for this one paragraph, is saying we should have games be changed. So you can claim that's not the case, but it clearly is. He says when it's used well in games, as in real life, swearing can deliver impact, it can deliver humor, it can deliver fear, or in the case of Scarface, the world is yours, it can be used to simply deliver the beginning, middle, or end of every sentence. I am categorically not against swearing in games. If anything, in the right circumstances, I'm in favor of it. My point is simply that in some games, those games where it actually isn't necessary, I'd like to see a developer take the initiative and provide the option to turn swearing off. Why is it your call as to what developers can and can't create? I say this all the time. Dustborns, Concords, Flintlock, The Sieges of Dawns, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I might hate these games, but I would never sit here and say a developer cannot create them, because even if they are not for me, even if I don't like them, even if 5 people play them, somebody out there might like it, but it's the developers' decisions to put this content in their game. They felt like it was important, like it was impactful, like it added to the tone, and I'm going to respect that, even if I think the content is trash. But it's never the case for journalists. They always think they know better, they can suggest better, and that their demands are more important than real gamers. They're saying, though, that obviously for some games it's not viable, but they're talking more about the games that throw in fucks, shits, and other things less frequently when they offer nothing at all to the game, and they really need a profanity filter, which sounds insane, but they are getting raked across the coals on social media for this take, and it makes sense. These are the kinds of people who need to be gate kept out. Yeah, they want everything to be sanitized, they want everything to be simplified, and they want everything to be safe. These people don't actually care about creative freedom, they don't care about entertainment, they simply care about their delicate sensibilities not being offended. Get the fuck out of our hobby. Absolute cowards. You retards are the first ones to piss and moan about the use of AI in voice acting, but now you want devs to pay their actors to record extra lines for a mature game just to make it safe for games journalists to play around their kids. And yeah, by the way, if you're a video game journalist and your job is to play games, why are you then doing your job with your kid in your room? I get it, right? This is like a small nitpick, but if it's your job, you'd think that you would actually be, I don't know, dedicating time to actually playing it, because there's no way you are really analyzing the story and the world and you're really paying full attention and getting fully immersed in your story when you constantly have to look over at your kid playing with her Barbie dolls. I just thought that was a little strange. You're complaining about having to watch your kid while you're doing your job, even though this is your job. Whatever. I am also a parent. I just check ESRB ratings for strong language, then just don't play the game in front of my kids. If I absolutely must play the game while they're awake, use headphones and remove subtitles. Problem solved. Are the writers planning to play Grand Theft Auto 6 in a church? The author, after publishing this, and it's this like 8-year-old kid smirking. So you're complaining that you can't turn off swear words when playing a checks notes 18 plus game in front of a child. There are age ratings for a reason. Maybe stop playing adult games in front of your child. So you don't want kids to hear swear words. I guess age ratings don't mean anything. How about quit gaming if you think that's a problem? So don't let them play more mature games if you aren't willing to have a conversation with them about its themes. It's called parenting. You already have this option, just don't buy video games. So yeah, they are getting wrecked in ratio. 300,000 views, 182 likes to 316 comments, 216 reposts. I haven't seen many people defending this take, probably because it's an insane one to have, but now apparently journalists are complaining because they are demanding that there are options to censor games and censor swears, like Sony's new patent. They're going to love that for sure, because they don't want children hearing inappropriate content, even though they could put on headphones or simply not play an adult themed game in front of a child. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.